Hey, what's up guys? Sir Emanon here, back with another episode of Road to 1000 Dueling Book Rating. Once again, going to be playing Lunalight Time Thief, and this is obviously another archived game from around a month ago, so format has obviously shifted, and with Duel Overload coming right around the corner, it might not necessarily be a great example of how the deck will be played in the future, but for those of you guys who are a big fan of the Time Thief engine, I'll still continue to post these games, just as well as, continuing the series in general. So yeah, this is going to be up against Salamangreat, which is kind of an interesting matchup. It sort of just depends on how they open, because the deck has a pretty fine time playing against like Rage and Roller, and maybe hand traps, but specifically Dweller opens are what really hurts this deck a lot. Dweller, as well as like other floodgates, things like different dimension ground or artifact sentiment to scythe. Those types of cards can be big hindrances for the deck. So definitely, those are kind of how, if any, the Salamangreat can win. As well as just the fact that like there's potentially just some times where they open really insane and have more follow up than you do. The decks do kind of similar things in that respect, but yeah, it sort of just depends on how you're able to navigate through various board states. If they open without Dweller, then you can typically play pretty smartly if you open playable, and play around the disruptions. But if they have Dweller, then it becomes a lot harder. So he wins the die roll and he goes first. So we see a hand that is actually pretty strong because he already opens Rage, and this is a hand that can actually get Dweller. Like he can open, well, he can get his Gazelle here by pitching the Jaguar, but he can also just make a Dweller on top of all of it. So he's gonna send Foxy, go into Balinks and search for a Sanctuary. I'm kind of interested as to why he chose to go for the Foxy there, because he didn't commit his normal summon yet. So he could have just normal summoned, and because he had Will, he could have just easily sent like a trap off the Gazelle instead of the Foxy. So he could have sent something like Rower, and then he could have like willed back the Falco, and then use the Jaguar to bring itself back. So he can end on Dweller plus Rage plus Roar here, but he sends the Foxy, which allows him to end on a bit of a different board. So he goes into Wolf and then relinks it, and he goes for the Jaguar, obviously, so he's going to get his Gazelle back. And he has Will as follow-up. Well, he's going to use Falco Grave Effect first, and he's going to normal summon the Jaguar. Yeah, so he actually makes a misclick here, but that's fine. I think his objective here was to make Appaloosa. So yeah, he's gonna will use the second effect. He had to detach, so they could get an extra Salad Name Engrave, because if you use Will's second effect, then it summons them in defense position, so he can't bring back like Balinks with it. So that's why he had to detach there. He's gonna Wolf add back the Will, and then go into Appaloosa. I personally think that Roar, Rage, Dweller is better than Appaloosa, but I think it just offers wider coverage. But regardless, the big factor here, the big operative part of his board is the Dweller, especially given this hand, which is double Perfume, so that definitely sucks. So I'm gonna go ahead and just normal summon Chick, and he's gonna shotgun the Dweller on the summon, which is like reasonable. So yeah, I have to Perfume back the Martin and hope to make something happen. This Appaloosa is on pretty big attack, so I think my goal is just to try and force through this Appaloosa. So I go make a Dweller, or sorry, not Dweller. I make a Tiger King here, and I use its first effect to set, and then he negates it, and I use the second effect, which he obviously has to negate. He chose not to rage it. Oh yeah, this is another thing, is that like his rage is a lot weaker when he doesn't have a Sunlight Wolf, because he has to pitch from hand instead of just like targeting a relinked wolf. So that's why I think that the Wolf plus Rage Roar opening would have been better than Appaloosa personally. But yeah, here like it doesn't really matter, because like I had to fight through Dweller regardless. So like just having these dead perfumes in here like is not doing much to help my plays. So he goes ahead and just lets his board die. And then I go ahead and set Call by the Grave. I activate Tsuchinoko. Luckily, he doesn't hit it, so I'm able to actually just go into a IP. So the goal is like just to try and IP the gazelle that I know he has in his hand, but I didn't know he hard drew rage because he never like sent or anything, and he held it for that long, so I was kind of caught off guard with it. So yeah, he goes ahead and uses will. I choose not to use Call by the Grave here because like he could bring back Gazelle, or he could just bring back a Wolf and then just relink it to get back Rage, and he has like Jaguar follow-up as well. Like he has too many things that are good in Grave right now for me to justify using Call by the Grave, because no matter what I hit, he has a good card to bring back. Plus he'll have a Jaguar anyway. So I just choose to let Will go. He'll use Gazelle to bring to send the roar to grave. And this is what I mean. Like even if I hit the gazelle off of the Call by the Grave, he would have just brought back the wolf and then relinked the wolf to get the rage back, and that would have been like actually enough in a lot of cases. Just because I was so low on cards at that point, and he would have had Jaguar as well. He could have like brought back a Falco or something, or he could have brought back like a Foxy and then like Falco, bring back the Jaguar and then like summon the Jaguar if he had made like another rank 4. Some people play like Baguska, or like there was a time where people were playing Double Dweller in this deck, but like that could have been an option as well. He also could have gone like update plus transcode. So he's gonna use Falco and then normal summon the Gazelle, go into Wolf this way, and he's gonna use Jaguar, target Wolf, and then go ahead and hit the Wolf here instead of the Jaguar, because Jaguar has to return the monster back to the deck in order to special summon itself. So that this way, like he doesn't get the Jaguar and he doesn't get the ability to add back a Speller Trap off of the Wolf. But granted, he's just gonna relink and then reset the roar anyway. So yeah, he's pretty much just able to negate whatever I have. And I believe he drew this Ash for turn, so that definitely sucks, because he's able to just Ash my Perfume. Yeah, so I'm gonna like Perfume once and he has Ash, and I'm like, I was thinking I can play through a roar because I have double Perfume in Gray, but like if he has exactly Ash, then I lose. And he had exactly Ash, so yeah, that definitely sucked. I still would have had to fight through a board because he would have had Will still, but just having the access to Tiger there would have made things infinitely easier, because I wouldn't have had to use my normal summon. I could have gotten like Zephyrus and then just make a bunch of plays from there, but that's not how the game shaked out. He drew the Ash, and that is that. So we are here going first. We have the very, very strong hand of Chick Tiger Winder, so we're able to just kind of pop off here. And I am like very cautious to respect Nibiru, so I go into 4 Strix, do that normal line, and then I go for the Winder play, which allows me to get the retrograde, and then I can actually use a goods, so I don't have to like commit to Curious, because normally the play here is if you don't open goods or like a perfume or a way to just get Zephyrus out of your hand, the play would be to use Martin and then make Curious with these 3, sending a perfume that way, and then getting Zephyrus engraved, so then you make Appaloosa with 2. But this way I don't have to actually go that line. Again, like I keep mentioning, I don't really like having to commit to Curious plays if I can help it, so just being able to reduce my reliance on that is pretty beneficial in a lot of the combo lines. So I go ahead and use Martin and bring itself back, and then here I decide I'm just going to go ahead and go straight into Appaloosa. Even if he Nibiru's me at that point, I still would have had a way to go IP plus I could have gone like IP plus Redoer plus like another level 4, just so I could like use the IP with it. So I would have had a pretty decent board even if I got Nibiru there. But regardless, he didn't have it. So I make a 4 material Appaloosa. He uses Phantasmite, and I opt to not to clear it, just because I don't want him to like chain Nibiru and then just like kill me, because that would definitely suck if you like waited that long and then just tried to bait me there. Like, granted, again, I still would have had like a good board, but yeah, just like having this cleared after committing into it would have like not been very good for me. But also, I just felt like because it's such a big Appaloosa, I could use the rest of my cards to kind of like deal with the Phantasme later, and that would have been fine. So I use Tiger to bring back Emerald. I use Zephyrus, bring itself back, and then go into Redo It here, attach the bird. Still not playing around Lightning Storm here. It takes a while for me to get used to playing around Lightning Storm, but this should obviously be in defense position. And then Emerald Bird brings back the Yellow Martin. Tiger brings back the Chick, and then I go and make a Perpetual on top of this. You can make the argument that this should have been a Dweller given the matchup, but I just really like having Redoer as a guaranteed interruption, so that's kind of like why. I valued the Time Thief engine really highly back when I played this deck a lot more frequently, and then as time went on, I sort of just I was more, or sorry, I was like less reluctant to kind of be able to pivot to other things that weren't the Time Thief Xyz monsters, specifically Perpetua in a lot of cases. But yeah, we go ahead and attach the flyback, which is like good enough graveyard disruption in many cases. You can hit like Jaguar and Spinny with it, so it's fine. So he picks up a Foxy for turn, and I pick up a Spinny off the top with Redoer. And then I'm going to standby phase, use Perpetua to target the Winder, bring it back. Again, should be indefensible around Storm, but you know, I didn't do that. Here he uses Circle, and I think, well, he can't evenly me unless he like crashes his Phantasme. So I decide go ahead and just retrograde this, because like typically Circle is like one of the like strong actual starters. So he's gonna go ahead and normal Buffalo. He has a bunch of normal summons in his hand. So I decide I declare Redoer just so I can spin this Buffalo because it can't activate. It can't activate in the deck. So all he would have been left with is like a Phantasme. I figure like if I just stop this, he has to open a very specific hand to be able to continue playing. Like he has to open something like a Will. And like an actual good Salamangreat monster to continue comboing off, because the debug's dead, and then all he really has left is Imperm plus Rage, which I can definitely deal with, like even if like he uses Phantasma to clear some of my board. So as soon as I declare Redoer, he actually just scoops it up, because I have like so much advantage at that point, because I have double Tiger and Scales, so I'm getting at least 4 monsters next turn. Alright, so he decides to go first, and he opens the Scythe. But he's otherwise opens, you know, relatively playable. And I don't have any hand traps, so mining, pitch mining to grab Gazelle, or sorry, debug to get Gazelle. So yeah, he's able to like do the very small contained combo, where he goes ahead and grabs Sanctuary, and then he relinks the Balinks to trigger Gazelle. And then he uses Gazelle to send a trap. Because he later on tries to relink the Wolf, even though he already used the relink off Sanctuary for the Balinks. So he should have sent the Jaguar here so he can get Gazelle back to hand. But yeah, knowing this, like I kind of like pay attention to his plays, and like as soon as he puts the Wolf in grave, like and looks his extra deck, I know he's gonna try and relink. So I tell him that he already relinked the Balinks. So at this point, he's kind of just stuck because he doesn't have any way to recur either of his resources. So again, if this was a Jaguar, then he could have returned the Balinks and then got Gazelle back, and that would have been fine. But both of his back row are dead, and all he really has is Nibiru. But I'm gonna go ahead and pop Scythe like an idiot. So yeah, Tenki's gonna go ahead and grab me Chick, obviously, because I drew Tiger for turn, which was a broken top deck. And really, like, all these plays are unimpeded, but I obviously don't know that his sets are dead. There's a certain point where I have to kind of figure that, like, alright, he doesn't have Roar at this point, because he probably would have roared Tiger. So, yeah, like, here now I'm, like, probably just checking for Rage. And I'm thinking, like, okay, maybe he doesn't Rage me here because he doesn't want to, like, tribute his Sunlight Wolf, because it wasn't relinked with its own name. So like he would have to actually send this to grave instead of like just target the Wolf, because again it wasn't reincarnation summoned. Something like he's probably not gonna rage just like one random monster, or like he might like rage Tiger here maybe, but like even still, like I get a decent amount of value, and given my hand I would have had goods as follow up anyway. So here we go for 4 Strix, and then he lets that go through as well. So here is where I should have determined that he didn't have any like real back row, because like he didn't impermanence this, which a lot of people tend to do, just because it's like extra follow-up. And he didn't rage it on summon, and he probably would have roared a long time ago, so I probably should have just concluded that his sets were dead, because any like Floodgatey type cards, like Different Dimension Ground, or like Sanctum in this case, he would have shotgunned like way earlier at this point if he could use them. So that should have told me that his back row was totally dead, but I was just like super scared and wasn't really thinking. Like I was checking a little bit like for rages, sorry, not for rage, for roar. But after that, I kind of just like didn't really consider what the back row actually could be. I just kind of assumed the worst, which like it's fine to assume that your opponent has like certain interruptions, but that's what checking is for. Like you're supposed to check for the things that you're fearing the most, and then like play accordingly. But I did the fearing part, but not the checking part after a certain point in time. So that's a takeaway you guys can take from this gameplay here is that the way I should have played this out was just knowing that because of all of the things that he's let through Tiger, he's let through Force Strix, he's let through everything, the second Tiger, like that should just indicate and scream that literally his back row doesn't do anything. So I shouldn't fear it at all. And I should be just laser focused on trying to OTK him this turn. But instead I go for Phoenix and I pitch Tenki and I hit Scythe. But I have Call by the Grave for it when it goes to Graveyard. So yeah, at least like I don't actually walk into this. Well, I do walk into the Scythe, but at least I don't actually get locked out of the Scythe. With the Scythe rather. So definitely should have. Like, I could have played this out in such a way where I play around like his Nibiru because that's like the only thing that is left to really fear at this point. But I'm going to play into Nibiru now, and that that pivot like didn't really like hurt per se, but like it just kind of made me waste like an extra Tenki and like put resources kind of to worse use than they could have been. Like it wasn't optimal the way it did it. Alright, so I'm gonna use Tiger to bring back the Collider Chick. And here's where he drops Nibiru because I was actually going to make Appaloosa. I could have done that earlier without like committing other random resources. But yeah, it makes the right play of Nibiruing at this point. But I still have Zephyros, so here's where I have to make kind of a hard decision. Like in a lot of cases, I want to make Dweller against this matchup, especially in such a simplified game state. And he put his Nibiru in defense. So like I would want to make Dweller, but also like I was kind of thinking, I kind of want to make what's it called? I want to make Redoer as well. And you'll notice like I don't go and make Tornado Dragon to pop the other set because now I'm realizing that like his set is probably Sanctum. It's probably like a dead card. Like I realized it a bit too late. I realized it after the Scythe that his set actually wasn't going to amount to very much. And right, so when I detached, I believe, Martin off of the initial Force Strix. I'm trying to figure out like why I didn't have this Emerald Bird in grave earlier, because I detached the Martin initially off the Force Strix. So when I used the second Tiger the first time, I had to bring back the Martin, and then the second time that I brought back Chick, that's when he Nibiru'd before I got the chance to use it. That's why this wasn't in grave at that whole entire time. I was like wondering like why did it take so long for me to put Emerald Bird in grave, but yeah, because ideally like if I could have had say Emerald Bird underneath the Redoer, then I could have had a IP Masquerena on top of this just as an extra insurance. But in any case, I'm just gonna go ahead and make Redoer because I have the retrograde, and I figured that like his strongest top deck at this point is Will, because he already has his Gazelle in grave. I guess Jaguar is also a pretty strong top deck for him. But I figured that Will would have been like probably the one to really like actually mess me up more than like a Jaguar. But he top decks a Spinny, so not really super relevant there. And I actually get lucky and hit an Impermanence off the top. So at this point, he doesn't really have anything that he can do. I decide to just Redoers spin the normal summon, just so he can't get like any potential value out of like going Balinks, bring back Spinny, summon Wolf, relink, and then reset Roar. So would rather just spin the normal summon because again I got lucky with the Imperm, but it's all variants with Redoer. So yeah, I think that game one kind of came down to Dweller just being too overpowering given my hand, and he drew Ash at the right time to stop my double perfume follow up. And then game two, it was kind of just me having like the good setup, and like he relied on Buffalo, but just spinning Buffalo was pretty good. And game three is just about navigating through like perceived back row and perceived threats, because you have to narrow things down in your mind as far as what can be like actually harmful to your board state and what is actually just kind of bluffs. And I didn't really think about the bluffs, so I kind of got punished for that. But Nibiru is kind of the big factor there, although again it wasn't enough for him to come back from the position he was in. Obviously, if he had the gazelle back in his hand, he would have been able to do more. But yeah, that's actually just going to be how that game turns out. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like as well as any thoughts or feedback in the comment section down below. Feel free to subscribe for more informative and competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content. If you want to, you can follow me on Discord, Twitter, or Twitch. All 3 links in the description as always. And once again, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I'll catch you in the next video. See you guys.